Hey folks, in today's video we're going to go ahead and rank all 54 bonuses in the game Wordatro. So what I decided to do here is I made a tier list and it's got 6 tiers going from the trash tier all the way up to the goat tier. And so I've got all the bonuses right here. These are arranged in no particular order. I think these are kind of random. There's a couple bonuses that I don't exactly remember by just looking at their logo. But I'll do all the ones that I know first, and then we'll save those last couple for the very end. So with that in mind, this first bonus here is A is greater than or equal to B, and I've got a list of what all the bonuses do. I've used all the bonuses before. I just sometimes don't remember all the different logos. But this one I know is A is greater than or equal to B, and this one gives you +1 improved letter if the word contains at least as many vowels as consonants. So this one is going to go in the mid tier. And so the reason why it's the mid tier is because obviously the +1 improved letter is nice. However, the activation condition is a little bit tough. Having a word that has at least as many vowels as consonants can be a little bit tough. So that's why, yeah, getting the improved letter is nice, but it's kind of a tougher activation condition. I don't find myself playing words that have at least as many vowels as consonants super often. So it's not, it's not good, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's definitely just middle of the road. Next up, we have Alchemy. So Alchemy gives you a wild card when you place three letters in the reroll. And Alchemy is definitely an A tier. So with Alchemy, the big thing here is you get that guaranteed wild card when you put 3 letters in the reroll. And that guaranteed wild card is super nice because not only does it give you access to so many different words that you might not be able to play, but also a wild card is 10 points. So, this is not only giving you points, but also access to different words. And the wild cards in this game are super nice because, you only have a limited number of rerolls, and it's kind of hard to sometimes find the letters that you need. So getting that guaranteed wild card can really save you in some different situations. And plus, it gives you +10 points. So I think putting 3 letters in the reroll is a pretty easy thing to do. And it's a pretty easy thing to do to get 1 wild card. So it's not quite GOAT, but it's not quite S tier, but I think it's A tier. Next up, we're going to do the B is greater than or equal to A. And so this one gives you +1 reroll if the word contains at least as many consonants as vowels. This one is going to go in the mid tier, but I do think it's better than its counterpart, A is greater than or equal to B. So most words, at least the way I play, and maybe different people play it differently, but most words that I play tend to have more consonants than vowels, or they have at least as many consonants as vowels. So this is going to activate almost every word. So you're basically getting +1 reroll nearly every roll, or nearly every word. And those rerolls are nice. So I don't think it's, it doesn't move the needle enough to be like good or amazing, but it is pretty mid. Those extra rerolls are pretty nice, so they do stack up. So I'm going to put it in the mid tier. Next up is the battery pack, which gives you +1 energy at the end of each round. And this is A tier. So the +1 energy, you can't take this one as like your first bonus or even your second bonus, but the +1 energy does really help. You get it every single round, and it can help you if you're just running out of energy. So I'm going to put it in A tier. It's not quite S, but it is definitely A. Next up is the stock exchange. And so this one, I have to make sure I get it exactly right. This one starts off at +5 points, and this bonus increases by +1 point for every 3 points you put in the reroll. So this one, I am going to definitely put it in the A tier. And by the way, at the end of the video, we might reshuffle some things if I decide that certain bonuses are a little bit better or worse. We're going to look at everything at the very end. But this bonus, I would put in the A tier because, something in Wordatro that I think is important is these like scaling bonuses like stock exchange, cash machine, twins, that kind of stuff. I found having a lot of success with these bonuses. So a stock exchange, it only starts off at +5 points, and you might think that it takes a while to build a good stock exchange, but you throw in a wild card, you throw in an explanation point, you throw in some letters that are worth a lot of points, like a J or a Q or something, and that stock exchange can climb pretty fast. I know in a lot of my games, I can easily get a stock exchange up to plus 30, plus 40 points. There's been a couple times I've got it over 60 points, and this kind of stuff can really help you in the long run. Something, at least with the way I play, I tend to play like four or five or maybe 6-letter words, and so a lot of my scoring isn't even coming from the words or the tiles in the word. A lot of it's coming from stuff like stock exchange. So I think stock exchange is pretty good. It's pretty easy to build it up. So it's not quite GOAT, but it's definitely A tier for me. Next up is Square. So Square gives you ×3 points if the word contains 4 or less letters, and then if you play a word that has more than 4 letters, it halves the bonus. So this is definitely S tier. Square, if you see Square, you're normally going to take it, and you're just going to play 4-letter words. Square is pretty good at the beginning. Now, this is a case where you have to have things to support Square. If you don't have anything, if you don't have a way to get some, I guess you could call it like some flat points, then the Square is not going to do much, right? Your Square can be a little bit dangerous because you have to play 4-letter words, and so there's not as many points to get with 4-letter words. But if you have something like, say, a stock exchange, or what else? There's again, or deja vu, or something like that. If you have a way to get more points, the 3x points is super powerful. And this is, well, there's only 2 bonuses in the game. I guess technically 3, but this is the only bonus in the game that gives you a ×3 points. And the activation condition is super easy. You just have to make sure you have things to support it. But like if you see a Square, you're normally going to take it. It's really good. Next up, I've got Lucky. So Lucky tile gives you a 10% chance to re-trigger a tile. I'm going to put this in D tier. So the reason it's D tier is because, first of all, for the first half of the game, this bonus is terrible. You pretty much can never take this in like the first 3 rounds. And when I'm talking about the rounds, I'm thinking in terms of like playing on medium or hard difficulty when there's 10 rounds to get through. You can't really take this the first 3 rounds. Mid-game, you maybe take it, but like the only use that this really has is in the late game when you've already upgraded your tiles, you already have a lot of bolds and special letters and stuff like that. That 10% chance, and it's only 10%. It's not reliable enough to really matter. This is kind of something that like when it hits, it's great, but like you can't rely on it. In the early game, it's not really doing much. So I'm not going to put it in F tier. So like these bonuses in F tier, these are going to be like they do basically nothing, or they're super, super niche. Lucky is at least kind of useful in the late game. I've had times where it popped off and it's pretty nice. So I'm going to put it in D, but it's probably going to be at the bottom of D tier. Next up, we've got Target. So Target gives you ×2 mult if the word has a certain number of letters, and that's called the target, and then the target changes every round. So it seems like normally it starts at 5 letters and then it switches to like a different number. It's usually between 3 and 8. Target is, I would say C. It almost goes down to D, but I'm going to put it in C tier because you can play around Target and it kind of works, but the problem is Target can whiff pretty easily, right? So it's random, it changes every round, and I've had games where like Target will go to 8 letters, and 8 letters is really hard to play, and so there's times where you can't rely on Target, right? Or if Target goes down to 3 letters, the 2x mult doesn't do a whole lot, right? So I think if Target just stayed between like 4, 5, and 6, it would probably be A tier. But the fact that the fact that it can range from 3 to 8, it means it can miss quite a bit, right? If Target lands on 3 or 8 letters, you're kind of screwed. You can't really do it. And so the fact that it is pretty unreliable makes it C, maybe D tier. I don't know. This is one I might change. I mean, the 2x mult is good. There's not too many bonuses that give you 2x mult. But the fact that it changes every round, I mean, at least the way I play, I try to play, I think the best is probably either 4 or 5 letter words. And so, and there's a lot of bonuses, you know, like square, you've got short word, you've got other bonuses that kind of require you to play certain letters in a word. This one changes every round, so it's just not reliable. If this whiffs, if this misses, it can kind of screw you over. So I might move this to D tier. I'm not sure. I'm going to keep it in B for now. I'm going to keep it in C tier for now. Next up, we have consonant plus. So this causes every consonant to gain +3 points. I'm going to put it in good. And while I'm here, I'm going to also put vowel plus in good. Vowel plus gives every vowel +2 points. These are definitely good. They're not like game changing, but they do help you get a few points here and there. You know, I know with the way I play, I tend to play 4 or 5 letter words, so these aren't doing a ton. You know, this could be maybe like consonant plus could maybe get me an extra 10 points in a word, maybe 15 points. Same thing with this guy. I don't think vowel plus is nearly as good as consonant plus. I'm almost thinking of putting vowel plus in mid, because I mean most words you're not gonna have as many vowels as consonants. So, and what I think is strange is that vowel plus only gives you +2 points. Consonant plus is +3. I think I'm gonna actually switch it. I think I'm gonna move vowel plus down to C tier. It's gonna be at the top of C tier, but consonant plus gives you the +3 for every single consonant. That is way more powerful than +2. Yeah. So these are, you know, they're nice when they pop up, but they're not game changing. Next up is the trash can, which gives you +2 rerolls every round. This might be actually B tier. So by itself, it's still pretty decent. But it gets really good when you think about all the synergies with rerolls, right? So you've got, for instance, alchemy, where you can get extra wild cards. You've got stock exchange that's way easier to build. Your cash machine is way easier to build with the rerolls. There's another one in here, alone. I don't know exactly where that one's at, but alone is also easier to work with when you have the trash can. So rerolls are hard to come by in this game, right? Rerolls, if you're playing on, you know, I usually play on hard difficulty because that's the daily challenge. Hard difficulty, you only get 1 reroll per round. So getting these extra rerolls is really nice. It allows you to find letters that you need, and it allows you to, you know, build things like the stock exchange and all that way easier. I mean, with that being said, it's not S or A because, like, you can still get by without the trash can, but, like, getting the trash can does really help. I don't know. I'm almost thinking of putting it... It's definitely a step below the battery pack. I think the +1 energy is more powerful than the +2 rerolls. Because the thing is, the +1 energy, a lot of times that's like a game saver. Like, you can... You know, you get that +1 energy and you can survive longer. This one, you're able to do more things, but I don't think it moves the needle as much as getting +1 energy. So I'm gonna put trash can in B tier. I don't know, I might change my mind. Boost. This is basically, you know, in Wordatro, you think about Jimbo that has +4 molt. This is basically the Jimbo of Wordatro. It just gives +5 molt. And I'm actually gonna put it. I'm going to probably go C tier. It does its job, right? This is obviously a great bonus to get in the first couple rounds, but after that, it doesn't do much. So it can't go up here, but it can't go into D or F because it does have a purpose. When you get it early, it's nice. Even when you get it, you know, rounds 3, 4, or 5, it's still decent. That, you know, the +5 molt is still pretty nice. So I'm going to go C tier with that one. All right, next up, we've got cooking. Kind of an interesting one. So cooking means that the letters kept in hand gain +2 points for each word. So like if you play a word, you know, let's say you've got 10 letters in your hand, you play a word that has 4 letters, the 6 letters in your hand are going to gain +2 points apiece. And I don't know, this one, it's like, it is decent, I guess. I don't find myself really utilizing it a whole lot. It provides a few points passively. I feel like it's about as good as like vowel plus or consonant plus. I don't know. I'm thinking C tier. Maybe goes in between. Maybe goes right about there. Yeah. I don't think that cooking provides... I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I don't think it provides a ton of value. I mean, let's think if you're playing 5 letters up here, you got 5 letters in your hand, you're basically getting plus 10 points for those. So, I mean, it definitely does have a couple synergies that we can talk about later, but I don't know. I'm not sure about this one yet. What I am very sure about is this one, though. 10. This is F tier. This is absolute garbage. So in this game, it is almost impossible to play a 10-letter word in this game. It is... I've never done it. I have played 9-letter words, and, you know, maybe if I had an explanation point or something, I could have extended it to a 10-letter word. I don't know. I don't think I've ever come that close to even playing a 10-letter word. So, first of all, it's completely unnecessary to have 10 letters in your word. You can win a game of Wordatro by playing, like, at most 7 letters in a word. You don't even need to do 8 or 9. So having a 10th letter is completely pointless. You're pretty much never going to use it. It doesn't give you like a special or an improved letter. It's just sort of there. It doesn't do anything, right? I mean, I'm not even really sure when you would ever take this. I mean, if you have like, maybe you somehow have tons of great letters to pick from and you've got wild cards and this and that, but I mean, making a 10-letter word, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. I know the way that I play, I don't tend to go for long words. I think that short words are generally better. So, you know, playing a 10-letter word just doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get a ton of value out of playing a 10-letter word compared to playing 2 5-letter words or even 2 4-letter words that are way easier to make, right? So this is absolute trash. This doesn't do anything, so it's going to stay down there. All right, I don't know what this one is. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave these two. I'm not entirely sure what they are. Next up is Back to the Wall, which gives you ×2 molt and ×2 points the first time energy runs out, and then it gets destroyed. I'm going to put this in D tier. And so the reason why it's D tier is because it does its job for 1 round, and then it goes away, and then you're faced with the question of, okay, what do I do for the next round, right? So this is basically when you think about it, if you're multiplying your points and your molt by 2 each, you're really multiplying your whole score by 4, right? It's really a ×4 to your entire score for 1 round. And then afterwards, it just does nothing. And so it's kind of like, you know, if you're playing a game and you take Back to the Wall, it's like, okay, Back to the Wall is going to get me through next round, but then what do I do after that, right? You'd rather have a bonus that either gives you some utility or it's like a scaling point or a scaling molt bonus. So this does its job for 1 round and then it just goes away. So now the reason why it's not F tier is because there is a niche that it is kind of useful for, which is it allows you to get certain things going. So like, for instance, let's say I took a stock exchange. You know, stock exchange starts out at +5 points. It's pretty bad at the start. And so I'm like, oh shoot, I might die because I've only got +5 points in my stock exchange. But the Back to the Wall allows me to stay alive long enough to get that stock exchange going, you know? So that's where it's like, yeah, it keeps you, it goes away after 1 round, but it keeps you alive long enough to do certain other things like building up a stock exchange or a cash machine or something like that. So it does have its use. It might be a little better than Lucky. I'm going to put it above Lucky, but yeah, it's not great. Next up is Saving, which gives the molt. It gives molt equal to the number of rerolls. So let's say you have 5 rerolls left, it'll give you 5 molt. This is also D tier. I barely ever find myself having more than like 3 or 4 rerolls in a game. I'm not usually saving rerolls. You know, rerolls are hard to come by and you're normally going to want a reroll. There's a ton of bonuses that encourage you to reroll. So I'm not usually saving my rerolls. So I would not take this. It doesn't really scale that much and you're not really gonna want to save your rerolls. I'm not going to put it in the F tier because there are times where it can be like a +5 or even a +8 molt, but it's pretty bad. You're not going to want to take this. Next up is Again. So Again creates a copy of the first letter in your word with an increase of +2 points. So this is going to be S tier. I'm going to put it S tier with kind of an asterisk, okay? You can't really take this as your first or maybe even your second bonus, because this is one of those cases where it does take a minute to get this online. But when you get it online, this is one of the most powerful bonuses in the game. This allows you to have a letter that could be worth, 30, 40, 50 points, right? And the other thing that's nice about this is that, first of all, it gives you a copy of a letter, so you always can bank on having a certain letter in your hand every single round. But also that letter is, growing in points every time, and you could also choose to copy a special or an improved letter. So I had a game recently where I copied a special L. So the special L is already starting at plus 10. It's already starting at 10 points. Every time I play that L, it moves up by plus 7 points, right? Because every time you play a special letter, or every time you play, I think I said a special L. I meant to say a super L, but the super L it's a special letter, right? So I play the super L, it's already 10 points. Every time you play a super letter, it makes it go up by 5 points. So that L that was worth 10, it got bumped up to 15, and then it got bumped up to 17, and it gets sent right back into my hand. So I can just keep spamming that letter, and that super L ended up being like I think I got it up to like plus 70 or 80 points, right? So this can be super powerful, but you can't take it too early on because it does scale a little bit slow, right? So I guess that's a case where back to the wall could actually be really helpful. But like if you can copy a special letter or an improved letter, like especially if you can copy like a bold letter that triggers multiple times, that one letter could be worth easily 50 to 100 points, right? So again, it is really good. You just have to watch when you take it, right? Just like with just like with Square is super good, but you have to have something to support it, right? You can't just have a times 3 points and expect to win. Like, you've got to have other ways of getting points too. So this is really good, but yeah, you just got to be a little careful with it. Let's see. This one is so these three, I'm actually going to put all together. So, this one, we have underline, which improves 7 letters to underlined. We've got, what do we got? Actually, these are going to go in slightly different tiers. I don't know what exactly this one's called, but I know that this one improves 15 letters to italics. And then, so this one's called thickened. This one makes 10 letters, actually, no, it's 10 letters bold. So, real quick, this one, I am going to put this is going to go at the very bottom of S tier. The one that's italics, so the one that's italics is going to go at the bottom of S tier. So this improves 15 letters to italics. Italics are super good. If you get this as your first or second bonus, you're probably going to win the game. Italics, in my opinion, italics are probably the best improved letter out of the 3. And improving 15 letters to be italics is really good. It's called, wait a minute. Let me see what it's called. So it's called slanted. This is slanted, okay? Slanted improves 15 letters to italic. Italic is definitely the best of the improved letters, and getting 15 of those in your bag right off the bat is really good. Even if you get this late game, it's still really good to get those 15 improved letters that are italics. So this is definitely S tier. These guys I'm gonna put maybe A tier. I think that the bold is usually better than the underlined. I don't know, maybe not. I'm gonna put them right next to each other. They're kind of the same. The 10 bold, bolds, this one at the start is pretty bad. This one's okay at the start. But these do, you can take these beginning of the game or late game, right? These guys are all pretty good. So, speaking of italics, we've got horizontal, which means that italics increase the tile molt by an additional +2, right? So normally italics increase your molt by +3 on each tile. Now it means that the italics do +5. And I'm going to put this one in A tier. If you already have some italics in your bag, then this is really good. I think upgrading the tile molt is one of the most important things you can do in the game. I know for me, especially just getting out of those first, 2 to 4 rounds, a lot of times you can't get out of the rounds because you don't have molt, because, the tile molt is only +1 when you start, right? This allows you to increase that tile molt quicker. So I do think it's A. It's not quite S, but it is really good to be able to increase that tile molt, because once you get that on, these guys become way better too, right? So I'm gonna say it's A tier. Next up, this is 8. So this one gives you times 1.5 points if the word has 8 letters. This is also going in F. This is absolute garbage. 8-letter words are just not the meta in this game. I mean, first of all, if you're gonna get 8 letters, you'd really like to play 9 to get the energy. But playing an 8-letter word, like, think about this. You're probably gonna have a way easier time doing 2 4-letter words compared to 1 8-letter word, right? Square gives you times 3 points for 4-letter words. This only gives you times 1.5 points for an 8-letter word. So this is way harder to activate, and it doesn't even give that much. So this is just absolute garbage. I don't really ever take this. It's too hard to make it work. Not worth it. Next one is this one just called Wild Card? This one's just called Wild Card. It gives you 3 wild cards, or I guess some people call them asterisks, but gives you 3 wild cards in your next letter draw. I'm gonna put this into B tier. It's going into B because it is just a one-time thing. Like, you get those wild cards and that's it. But it does allow you to, those 3 wild cards can be really powerful when you get them, because it allows you to most likely get out of the next round in just 1 word. It also gives you access to longer words, which could mean, getting a special letter or something like that. Or you could save these, right? So this does have a lot of uses, but it is a one-time thing, so I don't think it goes into S or A tier, but it is pretty good. I'm gonna go B tier. Next up is Twins. So Twins starts off at +2 molt, and it increases by +5 if the word is the same length as the previous one. This is A tier. This is a really easy bonus to scale. At least for the way I play, I try to just play 5-letter words back to back, or if I get something like square, or, in certain situations, I'll try to just spam 4-letter words back to back. And so this is +5 molt for doing almost nothing. So it's really, really easy to do. It's easy to activate. It's easy to grow this to +30, +40 molt, just for playing words of the same length. So, and this is another case of something where playing short words is just better than long words, right? So with 8 and 10-letter words, you're never going to be playing 2 of those back to back. Whereas with 4 or 5-letter words, you're probably able to play multiple 4 and 5-letter words back to back. So this is pretty good. It's not game changing, it's not GOAT, but it is pretty good. I'd probably put it above these guys, maybe right below Stock Exchange. I don't know, I might have to rearrange this in a little bit. Next up is Legendary, which gives you +1 special letter per draw. So you're getting a special letter every draw. That's S tier. That's GOAT. Special letters are just game changing in this game. They help you with points mainly, but especially when you get those wild cards, the wild cards allow you to play words that you might not be able to play. Getting that every single draw is it is legendary. This is one of the best bonuses in the game. Every time I see this, pretty much every time I see it, I'm gonna take it. Like these guys up here, this one I'm taking almost every time. These 2 right here, 4 I'm usually gonna take, unless I have, something to where I don't want to play 4-letter words. Again, you can't really take in the first few rounds, but this guy, you can take this anytime. You could take this in the first round or the last round. Legendary is incredible. While we're on that topic, I do want to talk about this one, Level Up. So Level Up gives you +1 improved letter at each draw. So it's the downgraded version of Legendary. I'm going to go maybe B tier on this one. That kind of shows you the difference between special letters versus improved letters. This one is probably one of the best ways of getting improved letters. But again, these are just improved letters. They're not goats, they're just good. So I'm gonna put this in B tier. Next up, we have long word, which gives you plus 15 points if the word has at least 5 letters. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. I'm gonna go right above this. Yeah, the plus 15, so it doesn't scale. So eventually this does kind of fall off, but like early game, you know, I'd say the first half of the game, this is pretty good. But yeah, it does fall off after a while, so that's why it doesn't go in A or S. But this is still pretty good. You know, playing 5-letter words isn't too bad. 5-letter words is probably my favorite. Probably my favorite number of letters to have in a word. So this is a pretty easy way of just doing plus 15 points. So I'm going to put that right there. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure what this one is. Let's move on to this one. So this one's Mimic. This is basically just like Blueprint in Wordatro. This one copies the effect of the last bonus. So this is not nearly as good as Blueprint or Brainstorm because it just copies the one you previously had. So if the last bonus you took was something terrible, then Mimic is gonna suck. But if you just took a great bonus, then it's actually pretty good. So because of that, because of the fact that it can whiff or it can be really good, I'm gonna put it in like B tier. I find myself taking this like about maybe half the time it's offered. There's some times where you just can't take it, but it can be pretty good. It just really depends on what your last bonus is. It's gonna probably go in the middle of B tier, maybe right about there. I don't know. It's fine, but it can whiff, so it's not as tragic as Target. Like Target, when that whiffs, that can lose you the game. This one, if your last bonus sucks, well then just don't pick Mimic. You can pick a different bonus, right? So this is definitely better than Target, but like yeah, if your last bonus sucks, then you know, Mimic isn't going to do that much. On the other hand, if your last bonus is legendary, now you're getting 2 special letters every draw. That's super powerful, right? So I'm going to go B tier. I think that's pretty fine. Then we have the worst bonus in the game, Easy Mode, which reduces it. So when you read the description, it reduces the target score every round, but it only reduces it by 5%. So that is not moving the needle at all. That's going to go in the F tier. That is absolute garbage. So just imagine like your first bonus, right? If you're playing the daily challenge, you have to get 200 points in round 2. You take this bonus, all that happens is now you have to get 190 points. It only takes off 5% of the goal. That's it. I would rather have any of these other guys that do something other than shave off 5% of the goal. Like 5% of the goal, it doesn't matter, right? You're not normally going to lose by just 5%. I would much rather have something like, you know, more points on my consonants, or, you know, an improved letter, or +5 molt, something like that. I'd rather have something that gives me points or utility compared to, oh, I'm going to take off 5% of the goal. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything, right? So this is absolute garbage. I would never take this. Next up is molt, which gives you +4 molt for each letter in the word molt. This is like B tier. It's good, not game changing, and that kind of reminds me with point. Point's gonna go right here. I think point is a little bit better than molt because it gives you +7 points, and it has more letters. I find myself taking point more than molt. Especially with molt, you know, one of the letters is U, which is, in my opinion, the worst vowel in the game. So molt is not nearly as good as point. But these are both good. They have a purpose. So I'm going to put them in B tier. They're both good. And then, of course, we have NRG, which gives you +1 energy for every 5 times you trigger NRG. So this, I don't know. It's like very bottom of C, maybe top of D. So every time I've had this, I only end up getting maybe 2 energy out of this for the whole game. Like if I take this, I mean, first of all, you can never take this in like the first 2 to 3 rounds. You'll just, you know, it's not going to do anything. Usually if I take this, I'm taking this like maybe round 5 or so. But even then, triggering the letters NRG 5 times, like every time I've ever had this, I've only been able to activate it maybe twice in a game. So this is only going to give you maybe 2, if you're really lucky, maybe 3 energy in a game. That's way worse than the battery pack, which is giving you 1 energy every single round, right? This is way harder to activate. There's ways to make this really good. If you have, let's say, a bold N, or if any of the letters are bold, or if you have the extra bold bonus, this can trigger more. But it's super rare to get this to be better than battery, right? To get this to be better than battery, you have to trigger N, R, and G 5 times every round. That's just never going to happen, right? This is only giving me maybe 1 or 2 energy in a game, maybe 3 at the absolute most. So it's not doing that much. I do think it's a little bit better than these guys. I'm going to put it in C, but it's bottom of C tier. Then we have the best bonus in the game, Perec, which gives you ×3 molt as long as you don't use the letter E, and then if you use E, it gets destroyed, so just don't use the letter E. This is S tier. Obviously, it is kind of a harsh activation condition, but when you think about it, that 3x molt, you can easily play 4 or 5 letter words that don't have the letter E. There's tons of 4 and 5 letter words that don't have E. So as long as you're playing short words, you should be fine. Like you'll keep the 3x molt. This is the only bonus in the game that gives you a 3x molt, as far as I know. So it is that 3x molt. I don't really care if I can't use E's. The 3x molt is that powerful to where you can get by without using E's. So I'm going to go there. We've also got one of the other, this is probably my second favorite in the game, short word. This one gives you a ×2 molt as long as your word has 5 or less letters. Again, 4 and 5 letter words are kind of the meta in this game. It's so easy to play those. This is giving you 2x molt. It's super, super good. It's basically an unconditional 2x molt. It's just incredible. So I'm going to put these up here. Let's see, what else do we have? This one is the more bonuses. So this one gives you a free reroll on your bonuses every single time you enter the shop. And I don't know, this is like D tier. This is pretty bad. And the reason why it's bad is because you can use your rerolls from the regular game in the shop. So giving me a free reroll in the shop isn't that useful. I don't normally use a free reroll in the shop. And plus, normally I'm given 3 choices to where I can take maybe 1 of them, or 2 of them. So, this is similar to, I guess, like a Chaos the Clown in Wordatro. But the difference is with Chaos the Clown, rerolls normally cost $5 in that game. The Chaos the Clown makes it free, so you're always getting that free reroll. This one, if I want to reroll, if I want to reroll in the shop, I can just use one of my rerolls from the game, right? So I don't really need a free reroll in the shop. It's kind of, it's better than F tier because it can allow you to get good bonuses that you need. If you're really digging for a certain bonus, like if you really want, one of these guys, you could maybe reroll, but this is different than Wordatro, where you're in Wordatro, you're typically digging for certain jokers, certain cards, whatever. In this game, in Wordatro, you can make most of these work. If I enter the shop and if I enter the shop and I see 3 choices, I can usually make one of those 3 choices work, right? You don't usually get a shop that's like totally trash. So I'm not usually needing this, and if I do get a shop that's terrible, I typically have rerolls available to where I can just reroll the shop with one of my regular rerolls, right? I don't need this free reroll that much. So definitely better than these 3 guys, but this is still pretty bad. Next up is, this one is more choice, which gives you +1, basically +1 hand size. So normally you have 10 letters in your hand, now you can have 11. I think this might be, I don't know, I'm looking at this, I think it's like top of B, bottom of A. I don't know, I feel like I might go bottom of A. This is pretty powerful. It allows you to Well, you got to think it's not just because you get more choice, but like think about if you have an explanation point, it becomes way easier to keep that in your hand. It also allows you more chances to pull the special and the improved letters. It gives you access to more words. You obviously can't take this within like the first couple rounds, but I would say like anywhere from round 3 onwards, you could probably take this, and it's pretty good. So it's not S tier, but it's definitely A. It's probably bottom of A. Let's see. Next up is 4. And so 4 gives you +1 special letter and +1 improved letter if your word has 4 letters. That's also going to be, in my opinion, A tier. So this is another case where 4-letter words are great because now all you have to do is play a 4-letter word and you're getting an improved and a special letter. That's really powerful. You have to be careful with this. You have to be careful with 4-letter words because if you don't have enough stuff to support the 4-letter words, then you might not score enough points. But this is still pretty powerful. Normally you have to play 7 letters to get a special letter. This, you can play 4 letters and get an improved and a special letter right there. This is pretty good. If you already have a square, this is you just take this no matter what. Even if you don't have a square, this is still pretty good. It is a little bit situational. I would not take this within the first 2 rounds. The first 2 rounds, you definitely have to be very careful about what you take. I think, the first 2 rounds, your bonuses have to be scoring bonuses. So something like vowel plus, consonant plus, boost, parec, short word, something that is giving you points or mult. But after that, yeah, you could take something like 4 and it's pretty good, right? So let's go ahead and move on here. Let's go to, what is this one? This is stock. This one's terrible. So stock gives you, let me make sure I'm reading it correctly. So stock adds a mult equal to the hand's letter with the lowest point value. This is F tier. The reason why it's F, I'm going to put it above these guys though. The reason why it's F is because, so every vowel in the game is worth 1 point. And, unless you're playing a word like fry or dry, where there's no vowels except for, I guess, Y, but we're not going to count Y, right? 99% of your words are going to have a vowel that's not Y, okay? So every vowel is only worth 1 point, and you're 99% of the time going to have a vowel in your word. So that means 99% of the time, this is only giving you +1 mult. This is not really doing anything. There is a couple of exceptions. If you have vowel plus and consonant plus, then every letter is going to be worth at least 3 or 4 points. So this could give a little bit more, but most of the time, this is giving you +1 mult, which is terrible. It doesn't really scale. It's just, if you somehow find yourself in a situation where you've upgraded almost every letter, it can be decent, I guess, but I could never imagine this being more than plus 5 mult. Your words are always 99% of words are going to have a letter that's worth 1 to 3 points. It's just trash. It's not going to do anything. Russian roulette, that's going to go top of D. It's just random. It's not reliable. It could give you garbage things. It's whiffed for me quite a bit, so I'm kind of eh. It's just totally random. I'm not a big fan. Not quite sure what this one is. I'm gonna have to come back to that. Next we have alone. Alone is D. It's definitely top of D. So it gives you 1. So if you only re-roll 1 letter, then it gives you an improved letter. This is a bad way of getting improved letters, right? Because why would you only want to re-roll 1 letter? Most of the time, you're going to be, when you're re-rolling, you've got multiple things you want to re-roll. And so re-rolling only 1 letter is not very smart, but then also, it gives you an improved letter, but it could still be a pretty garbage improved letter. Imagine if you get an improved, an improved Q or something like that. A lot of times when you're re-rolling because you just can't even make a word, or, you know, maybe you only have a garbage word available, and so you're just trying to find letters that can make you at least make a 4 or 5 letter word. If you're only re-rolling one letter, you're not going to be able to find the letters that you need. So this is just bad. I'm not putting it in F because at least it gives you an improved letter, but it's a really, like, whenever I've taken this and I try to use it, you know, re-rolling only one letter, it just doesn't do that much for you. It's not good. So that's going down there. Next up, we've got 6. So 6 means that if you play a word that has exactly 6 letters, then it upgrades the 6th tile mult by +3. So it gives +3 mult to the 6th tile. This is also D tier. This is like garbage. I'm almost putting it down here. I might just put it down here actually. This is really bad. I think it is F. The reason why it's F is because, so when we're thinking about tile mult, we usually want the first 3 to 4 tiles to have the upgraded mult. And the reason is because, you know, you want those to be upgraded. That way you put your underlined letters at the end of the word to give that times 1.5 mult, right? I don't really care what the 6th tile mult is. I mean, I'm not even normally playing 6-letter words that much, but like having the 6th tile mult go up by 3, it doesn't do a whole lot. And plus it requires me to play 6-letter words, which they're not nearly as good as 4 and 5-letter words. And I just don't, I don't know. I just don't care about that 6 tile mult. I don't think that adding +3 to that, it just does not, it doesn't do a whole lot. It's just bad. Let's see, underline gives you, so normally underline letters give times 1.5 mult. If you have this bonus, then they give times 2 mult. This is like, I guess B tier. It's not bad. I like underlined letters, you know, giving times 2 mult. I'm gonna put it like right there. Giving times 2 mult's pretty good. I don't take it that often, but it's decent. I don't have much to say about this one. Triple is, so every third time, what exactly does it say? Every 3 triggered letters, the third letter increases by +3 points. It's a little random. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's like, you know, compare this to something like Stock Exchange or, you know, vowel plus, consonant plus. Those are a little bit more stable. This one, it's like, I find myself having a hard time trying to play around this one because you're like trying to keep track of which letter is going to trigger and you're trying to place them in the right spot. It's kind of hard to use, but it does do something decent. I'm going to put it C tier. It's going to be right about here. Yeah, it's better than these guys, but it's not as good as these guys. Extra bold gives you 1 additional trigger on the bold letters. This is, I would say, right about next to underline. Having 3 triggers on certain bold letters are really good, but then on other ones, it's like, it might only be adding an extra 3 to 5 points. It's like, it's okay. It's not amazing. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I do like it, but yeah, it's not as good as these guys. But it's definitely B tier. It's definitely B tier. This one is unique. I really don't know what to think of this one. So unique means that the drawn letters are unique, but improved and special letters have a higher chance of being drawn. I don't know what the increased chance is on those special and improved letters. It doesn't seem to really move it a whole lot. It seems like it doesn't like increase the probability that much to really matter. I do like having unique letters, so I'm gonna put it like C tier. I'm gonna put it like, I'd rather have that than these guys, but I don't really feel like it does a whole lot. And this is one where like, I don't even know I don't know the math behind this one. So I'm not really sure. I like having unique letters, but it doesn't matter that much. Next one's WTF, which just adds 1 exclamation point to your next draw. This is like bottom of C tier, maybe even top of D. So this is like a bad version of the wild card, which gives you 3 wild cards, right? What would you rather have, 3 wild cards or 1 explanation point? You take the 3 wild cards any day. The explanation point, you know, it's, I guess, kind of useful, but it, like the 3 wild cards, that can allow you to make a 7-letter word. This guy, it might help you go from like 4 to 5 or 5 to 6, but it's not really doing that much. I guess the case where this is kind of nice is if you keep that explanation point for a while, it can be just a passive +10 points, but I don't I mean, there's better ways of getting these explanation points. There's better ways of getting points. It's only one. If it was like 2 explanation points, I would probably put it up here, but it's only 1. It just doesn't do that much. I would rather have it than any of these guys, but it's kind of eh. Now we've got the X, I don't know what these are exactly called, but the X consonant and the X vowel. So X consonant gives you +1 molt when a consonant's triggered, and then X vowel gives you +1 molt when a vowel is triggered. These are like mid. These are definitely mid. I'm going to put the consonant above the vowel for obvious reasons. This one's probably going to go, I'd rather have it than that other one. I'd rather have it than B is greater than A. This one's going to go right here. It's better than the A is greater than B. These give you, I mean, the thing is, like, especially with the way I play, I like to play 4 or 5 letter words, so these are giving maybe, 3 to 5 molts a piece. But the reason why they're this high up is because these are super easy bonuses to get at the beginning of the game, and these will get you out of the first couple rounds. So these are like, there's some bonuses that you can't take until later on. Like for instance, something like the trash can or the battery pack or whatever. These guys are ones that are super easy to take right off the bat, just like boost, right? A lot of these guys at the start, these are like really nice early game bonuses. They fall off, but they still do their job for the first 4 to 5 rounds. So I'm going to put them in C tier, Okay. Next up is yo-yo. Yo-yo is a no-no. That one's a D tier. It gives you +1 molt. Well, it gives you, so it starts off with +1 molt, and then it adds a molt equal to the difference in the letter count with the previous word. So let's say you play a 4-letter word, and then your next letter, let's say you play a 4-letter word, and then your next word is 7 letters, right? So the difference is 3, so it adds on +3 molt. This is bad. It scales way too slow. I'm not a big fan of changing, I'm not a big fan of going from like 4 to 7 to 3 to 8. I find it too difficult. There's a lot of times where you're just going to want to play short words, or you're just going to want to play long words. You're not going to want to bounce back and forth, right? Imagine if you have like a short word bonus, you can only play up to 5 letters in a word. Same thing with square with 4 letters, right? This is like not easy to work with, so I don't think it scales very well. It's hard to get this past like +10 or +15. It's not good. Zorro is F tier. This is just garbage. This is like, I'm gonna put it right here. So Zorro starts off at +2 molt, and it increases by +10 when a Z is drawn. This is ridiculously unreliable. Yes, there's games where you might draw 3 or 4 Zs, and so it could grow to +40 molt, but I've also had games where I've never drawn a Z, or I've drawn maybe 1 Z. It is super unreliable. This is even more unreliable than Lucky. So the fact that it only activates when a Z is drawn is just terrible. It just doesn't do enough. It doesn't really matter that much. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk of like, you can't take this speculatively. There's certain other times when like I could take a speculative, what would I think? Like I could take a speculative, maybe a speculative long word where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play 5-letter words, or I take a speculative square, and I'm thinking, okay, if I can get something else with this, I can do 4-letter words, right? This is not it, I could even take, here's another good comparison. Compare this to twins. So twins gives you +5 molt as long as the previous word, it grows by +5 molt every time the previous word and the new word are the same length. So you can easily scale this +10 molt every round just for having 2 words of the same length back to back. This is +10 molt, but you have to draw a Z, which is super unreliable. So, this is just, it's bad. You can take this one speculatively and just think, okay, I'm going to play, 5-letter words back to back to back. This, you can't take speculatively because Zs are just super unreliable. So, This is just bad. Okay, I'm gonna cut the video off here because I don't know these other ones. So let me figure out what those are. Alrighty, folks, I figured out which ones these go with. So this one right here is the cash machine. So this one, it starts off at +2 molt, and so each improved letter that you put in the reroll grows this by +2, and each special letter in the reroll grows it by +4. This one is also A tier. It goes right, I'm gonna go right behind the stock exchange. These guys work together so well. So it is super easy to get a cash machine up to like +30 to 50 molt. This is a case where, and I really think that like having these scaling molt and point bonuses are the way to go. Like I tend to have success with these guys paired with like short words. You know, this could, as long as you're just throwing some letters in there, you're gonna be fine. Like you can make this grow to +30, 40 molt, and then that's there for the rest of the game. So like, yeah, it starts small and it seems like it's gonna be hard to grow it, but it can grow pretty fast as long as you're getting those special and improved letters on a somewhat regular basis. So I really like these. Yeah, it's really good. This one is special. Let's actually go served first. So this one is served. So it starts off at, let me double check. Starts off at +2 molt, and it increases by +2 molt per word, and it loses 1 per reroll. So this is basically like a green joker from Wordatro. I'm gonna go, it's like C. It doesn't scale that fast, and I don't know. I'm gonna go, yeah, it's right below target. It's better than these guys. So this guy right here, this is basically a bonus where it encourages you to not reroll, which first of all, it's very difficult to not reroll in this game. You know, oftentimes you're just not going to be able to find letters to make good words, and so you're going to have to reroll. But also, as we've seen, especially with these two guys, as well as like alchemy and some other stuff, as well as with alchemy, you're going to want to reroll stuff, right? You know, your rerolls allow you to get sometimes, you know, special letters or improved letters, or you can grow a stock exchange or a cash machine or whatever. So like, not re-rolling just for +2 molt is not very good. But I'm putting it higher than these guys because, like, first of all, so serve scales faster than saving. Saving is going to be like at most +10 molt. This you can maybe grow to +15 or 20, right? So this is better than this, but it's not that much better. So it's at the bottom of C tier. It's okay. Next up, we have Deja Vu, which starts at, I want to double check here. Deja Vu starts at +5 points. It increases by +5 if the first letter is the same as the previous words. This is, I'm going to say C. This is the bottom of C. It reminds me of twins, but, you know, look at the difference in the activation conditions, right? Twins, all you have to do is play 2 words that have the same length. This means you have to play 2 words that have the same first letter. It can be very difficult to do that, right? If I play, let's say I play the word table, starts with a T. Well, now that T is gone, I don't know if I'm going to get another T to play the next word that starts with the letter T. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you have again, then this easily shoots up to like S tier. But if you don't have again, then this is not going to work, right? If you have again, then you can always draw that same letter again because it just copies it into your hand. But, you know, if you don't have again, then you don't have a reliable way of getting the same first letter. So this is just C tier. You know, it can scale nice, like if you get lucky, but if you don't have again, then this guy's probably not going to scale that much. And then finally, wait a minute. This is the, my bad. This is the, what's the word I'm looking for? This is the icon for Deja Vu. My bad. This one's Deja Vu. This one goes C tier. This one is for special improvements. So special improvement gives, well, let me see, what did it start off with? It starts off at +5 points. It increases by +1 for every improved letter and +2 for every special letter in the word. I'm going to put it right at the top of good. Maybe even, it's going to go good. So this is kind of like the opposite of a stock exchange. So this time you want to play the special and improved letters in the word. It can scale pretty nice. You know, you throw in a couple special improved letters here and there. This can get up to plus 30, 40, maybe 50 points if you're doing pretty good with it. But I don't know. I'm not as, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not as big of a fan of this one compared to this one. The stock exchange grows faster, and I don't know, at least in my experience. Well, the thing is with the stock exchange is, like, a lot of times I'm just throwing letters like Q, which is worth 10 points, or J, which is worth 8 points, or a K, which is worth 5 points, or an X, which is worth 8 points. I'm throwing those kind of garbage letters that are worth a lot of points. I'm throwing those into my stock exchange to help it grow. With special improvement, you have to actually use those letters in a word, which can be kind of tough. So, that's why I still like special improvement. It still is easy to grow, but it's not as good as stock exchange. The stock exchange is really pretty easy to make that grow fast compared to this guy. So special improvement's still B tier, but I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. So I'm gonna let me go through each one. Let's make sure these look kind of decent here. Okay, folks, so I went off camera and just switched a few of these around. And before I get into that, I did notice that I flipped the cash machine and served. So I went ahead and switched those back. So just to be clear, cash machine is this one, cash machine is A tier, and served is C tier, okay? So with that in mind, I feel comfortable with all the S tier bonuses. These are all game changers, especially these top 4. Again, is also game changing, but you have to kind of be careful when you take it. And then slanted is super powerful at the beginning. It's still really good later on, but I do think it's a tiny step below these, but it is still S tier. So I'm very comfortable with all of these guys. With A tier, I am pretty sure that these are all staying put. I did move more choice up a little bit. I do think that the +1 hand size is pretty powerful, especially when you think about the fact that, you know, you have the exclamation point. You also have cooking. It synergizes with cooking. You know, it allows more letters to gain extra points. It also allows you to pull your special and your improved letters more often. So the more choice, yeah, this one. More choice, I think I had it down here. I moved it up here. I do think it's pretty good. It's not as good as these guys, but more choice can really help you out. So I moved that up just a little bit. Let's see, B tier, I did shuffle a couple things around. So level up, I had it like way up here. I had it up here because I put it down at the same time as legendary, but I really think it's more like maybe, I'm going to put it like right there. It's a decent way of getting improved letters, but there are some better things. You know, I'd rather maybe get some points or get extra bold or some underline bonus or something like that. So I'm going to put level up in the middle of B tier. I did also move up the extra bold and the, what is this called? Highlighted. Extra bold, especially towards the end game, having 3 triggers on those bold letters, that can be really powerful, especially when you've upgraded your tile molt. So, you know, this could, I mean, you might have letters that are giving you plus 15, plus 20 molt because they're triggering 3 times, right? So this can be really good. And then the underline or the highlighted, which changes your molt from times 1.5 to times 2, that can also be really powerful. I do think it's a little bit better than these guys. And then I also moved the trash can back a little bit. I still think trash can is really good. However, the huge downside to taking trash can is that you don't get any value out of it until you get through the next round. So let's say you're in the shop and you take the trash can and you've only got 1 reroll in the shop. You don't get those extra 2 rerolls until after the round is over. So you have to get through the current round in order to actually get some value out of trash can. And so, you know, I've found myself in situations where I really want the extra 2 rerolls, but the problem is I can't take it because I need something to get me through the next round, right? And trash can, you don't get those rerolls until the round after the next one, right? So that's where trash can be tricky. You know, obviously trash can does have a lot of synergies with, you know, stock exchange, cash machine, alchemy, alone, you know, as well as a couple other things. but the fact that it does take that one round to actually get some value moves it down just a little bit in the B tier. And then finally, Consonant Plus, I think I had this a little higher. I moved it back just because I was thinking the way that I play, I tend to play 4 or 5 letter words, and so there might be maybe 3, 4 consonants in there. You know, this gives maybe 8 to 10 points, maybe 12 points if you're lucky. It's not doing a whole lot. You know, I think it's usually worse than long word. So this is like fine, but yeah, it's the bottom of B tier. It's almost C tier, right? A lot of these C tier bonuses just give you a few extra points or molt. This one's almost down there, but because it's the consonants and because it's giving plus 3 points, I do think it's just barely B tier. So got that one at B tier. C tier, I didn't move any of these. These are all the same. D tier, I moved Russian Roulette to the top of D tier only because, first of all, it's the only bonus that can give you 2 bonuses. So, you know, you are getting a decent amount of value. But those 2 bonuses are random. So there's times when it is really good, but there's just times when it totally whiffs. And the randomness in this game, it's hard to tolerate that randomness, especially when the game is only 10 rounds. So, you know, I was thinking about this compared to like Riff Raff and Wordatro, and like Riff Raff generates 2 random common jokers, and if that whiffs, it's not as bad because there's so many rounds in Wordatro and you can sell your jokers and things like that. In this game, you only have, what, 10 rounds, and this is kind of a one-shot thing. If you wind up with 2 bonuses that are bad, it's like, well, nothing you can do about that. So it is still D tier, but I moved it up a little bit. I moved Alone back a little bit because I do think that only rerolling 1 letter is just really bad. And just, you know, getting an improved letter that's random, it's just bad. So I was contemplating moving this guy up a little bit. This was Saving. I was thinking about moving that up because it does have the synergy with the trash can, but I mean, still, even with the trash can, this is like at most a plus 10 molt. It's pretty bad. I think I'm gonna keep it put. Yeah, let's keep it right there. And then F tier. These guys are all just F tier. I don't even really think about the order. I guess with these 3 guys back here, you're getting absolutely no value out of these. Zoro, you might get lucky and get a plus. You know, this could be plus 12 or maybe plus 22 molt if you pull 2 Zs, but it's kind of hard to do that. 6, you could play 6-letter words and get that 6 tile molt up, but it's really, really niche. And then Stock only works if you have like vowel plus and consonant plus, or you're somehow playing words that all, you know, every single letter is worth a lot of points. So these 3 can give you value, but it's kind of rare. These 3 give you absolutely no value, so they're at the bottom of the F tier. So there you have it, folks. There is all 54 bonuses in Wordatro put into a tier list ranging from F tier up to S tier. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about this tier list. Very curious to hear if anybody has, you know, any different thoughts on these. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.